Welcome. This is one of our first episodes here where we're doing some interviews, some bad pitches, and some questions and answers. Today we have an amazing guest. His name is Mr. Braden Wallake. He's the CEO of Hypersocial Ottomatey. He is a LinkedIn expert. He's also a famous meme. And so we're going to talk about all that stuff today and more and kind of get that rolling. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Wallake.
Thanks for having me. I told my girlfriend yesterday I have to go viral at least one more time in my life that isn't on that. On something else that takes that. Because I still do that picture all the time. It's so annoying.
I would imagine it was annoying. It was interesting as we were kind of putting the notes together for today. I was like, I wonder if we can talk about this. I guess if not, we can always cut it out after. But it's in your LinkedIn bio. I think it's probably okay. So, okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the time here today. I don't take it lightly. I know there's only so many hours in the week and you could be spending this time running your many companies. So I don't take that lightly. So I think for today, what we're going to do is we're going to play a little bit of a game, a little bit of a way for us to help the people who hang out in our world when it comes to marketing and product positioning. And so our social manager, Laura, sent me over a list of horrible inventions. And I'm going to roll a virtual D20, like from Dungeons and Dragons. And then we're going to have you pitch it. And then if you want me to do it, that's fine. Or if you want to do it together, that's fine too. Do you have any questions about that? Or is that pretty clear, my man?
I don't have any questions yet. I think I will have some as we get in.
Your question is, what was I thinking being here? And it's too late. You're already here. So, okay.
I might cry if this gets too hard, so.
Yeah, hey, we know one way to get you viral for sure.
True.
So, all right, cool. So let's go. Let me go ahead and roll this thing. All right. So our idea for today is going to be a self-destructing to-do list. This is going to be tasks that automatically disappear after 1 hour. Okay. So, let's kind of go into that. That for me feels like the hardest one. So if you're going to have a self-destructing to-do list, Mr. Braden, as a marketing, business development, and sales expert, software guy for the past, it's been a long time, most of your adult life. Who would you target this to?
Interesting. I think the target market for this are people who I think actually probably you and I, AJ.
Yeah.
Because I've heard of this thing recently where the business owners and the CEOs who are all working from home have hired basically like a babysitter, like to just like help them get their stuff done. And there's nothing that helps me get more of my to-do list done than knowing there's a deadline. And if that to-do list is all of a sudden gone, I think I'm going to push really hard to make sure that everything that's on that to-do list gets done as soon as possible. So I really think it is actually kind of the procrastinators who have the work from home, who don't have the overbearing manager or, are kind of up to their own devices. Because I'm sure, AJ, if you're like me, there's distractions that happen, and you could go and get a whole bunch of boring stuff done on your to-do list, or you could come up with the next, funnel, or work on the things that you kind of enjoy, but it kind of put the things aside that you need to be doing. So I think it's us.
I agree with you. I actually, looking at that, because we have a list here of a whole bunch of ideas, like a silent bag of chips and like toothpaste flavored ice cream. I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of a good idea.
Awesome.
I would like this. I was like, okay, but that's cool. I actually saw like a TikTok the other day where it was somebody was filling up his Brita filter. And he gave himself until the Brita filter was full to finish like some task, like washing dishes or something. And I'm like, my wife's like, would this work for your brain? And I said, yeah, I think it would. So I think we actually are the ideal customer for this. Maybe
Absolutely.
Like people who don't have a lot of who have a lot of autonomy, right? Who maybe don't have somebody, remote workers. I think everybody in this room could probably.
Yeah, I think could you make it even better by adding some sort of reward or anti-reward, if we want to call it that, or punishment, or something bad that happens, like the Pavlok thing that can kind of like shock you. Like if something happened where you didn't complete the stuff on that to-do list, and then the to-do list ended and you can't do it anymore, cool, now you got a punishment. So next time you're even more likely to get the to-do list done before it deletes itself.
Yeah, that's funny that you say Pavlok, because Manish, last time I was doing interviews like this, Manish was one of my interviewees.
That's awesome.
and he had sent me a Pavlok because I needed it to wake up, right? And so like that's its most popular use case is like it'll vibrate, then it'll beep, And then if those things don't work, it'll zap you, right? And but what was happening, I think, for me was I was getting so fast at taking it off and throwing it across the room. But it still woke me up. I just
I think that's the reason I haven't bought a Pavlok yet, is because like that thing would be shocking me all day every day, because I'm so bad with the habits that I have, like waking up and completing to-do lists and stuff. It would just be like, oh my god, it would run out of batteries every single day, because from shocking me so many times.
It was, you'd need to charge it overnight and it would defeat the purpose. It was stressing me out going to bed.
I bet.
Because I'm like, you ever like have an early flight and you go to bed and you're like, oh shit, I gotta like, you can't really sleep because you're anxious about
missing. And you wake up, and when you wake up, you're like super awake right beforehand. Yeah.
You're like, it's just the cortisol dump or something. Okay. All right. So we have our thing, a self-destructing to-do list. What are we going to solve? I think we've pretty much figured this out, right? Like, we're going to help people who maybe work remotely or have a lot of things that they're juggling kind of fix this, right? Like actually get their shit done in a timely manner. Is there any other pain points that you think, like as a marketing person, that we should definitely keep?
The other thing that I see is people will, not me, but a lot of people will, they'll keep adding to their to-do list, Now all of a sudden they've got this to-do list that's completely overwhelming, right? So the fact that your actual to-do list resets itself every hour means you know exactly what you're working on for that next hour. So I think there's kind of a clarity factor in terms of your to-do list too, without the to-do list overwhelm that can happen too.
Yeah, it kind of feels like, so there was a while where I would do, I had an hourglass and a 15-minute glass, and I would put it on my desk and I would give myself until that thing is done to finish a certain task. And that helped me, because I was just like, okay, well, this time is dedicated to just doing that one thing, right? And let me see if if I'm dedicated for the next 30 minutes, it might take me 2 minutes. It might take me the full, I might stare in paralysis for 28 minutes and do it in the last 2 minutes, but it's going to get knocked out, right? So I kind of like that, of like a visual to-do list that's slowly withering away. Mm-hmm. So I think this is, we actually just.
I think so too. I think somebody needs to invent this.
I think, right. You know what? We can't publish this. Let's write this shit down. Let's get the trademarks, get the domain. Okay, if we're doing like an infomercial or direct response ad or something, the notes I have here are basically like, are you tired of blank? Would you like to blank? Well, now you can this. So like, what would sort of be our, I guess, opening pain point questions, probing questions that we would hit our prospective customers?
Yeah.
The other undiagnosed, but we're pretty sure people.
Yeah. I just think it's simple as like, are you tired of procrastinating, or are you tired of not getting your to-do list done? Wouldn't you like to finish every day feeling accomplished and like you, I don't know, like you did something each day, something along those lines? Well, now you can with the help, or with the exploding to-do list. Does it like fully explode? Because that'd be kind of sweet.
I think, it's our product. We can do whatever we want with it, and I like the idea of it exploding. Actually, I think that's like a reward and a punishment at the same time. Yeah, like a little firework every time you do something, and you're like, oh shit, well I guess that's gone now.
It scares you out of trying to keep doing what you were doing too, because all of a sudden you're thrown off. Yeah, I love that.
It forces you to do the next thing. You're like, okay, well I don't remember what that is now, and it's gone, so I guess I'm moving on to the next task. Okay. No. I mean, if I was actually selling this product, I think that would be who I aim it towards. I'd be like, are you a business owner or an entrepreneur or a remote worker, and you're tired of, forgetting the million things on your to-do list? Here's our exploding to-do list. And this makes getting tasks fun, right? If we're really selling this stuff, I have some ideas, but I want to know what you think. Like, where would you want to market it if it was a startup, right? You didn't have all the money in the world.
That's what I was going to ask, is how much funding do I have, and how much cash flow, and what's my runway? And I assume it's not very large.
Maybe like it's bootstrapped. So you can't like assume maybe, not even a couple $1,000 a month or something like that.
Yeah, I think first things first is, and what I recommend for a lot of startups is hop on LinkedIn, and and that's natural, but start conversations with your ideal prospects. Now, LinkedIn, you can do some cool stuff where I can target CEOs, founders, owners of smaller companies. But then I think that you could even use maybe some intent data as well from LinkedIn, such as CEOs that are in groups that are all about productivity and focus and things like that shows that they're interested in learning about that stuff, that they're struggling with. So going and starting with those people, having a conversation one-on-one, hey, I've got this product, what would make it something that you would want to have it in? And I would start to have those, one-on-one conversations, direct it to them. And I think that'd be where I would first just start to just kind of reel in the leads, the customers, but also just help build a better product while I'm doing that. Right, is they tell me what the things that they need. Yes, I want it to explode, or I don't want it to explode, and those kinds of stuff.
No, I think that's the right way. I kind of my head kind of went towards connecting it to business owners straight away. I'd probably send some to some like business owner influencers, right? So some of these like motivational guys and gals who are like making content all the time, because you never know if they'll like promote it, right, or for you. And I'm like, well, I already have this exploding to-do list. Let me just send it to them, right? And I would want to connect with business owner groups, like LinkedIn groups. I think of like Facebook groups too. I think would be a potential. Facebook groups are a little down where LinkedIn is kind of up right now. But I think you could still connect to the right people.
It wouldn't be the most expensive of products, of the products that are out there. So I think targeting Facebook groups is fine. Start to get into some bigger things, bigger ticket items, and Facebook becomes a bit harder because there's a lot of people who can't afford those sorts of things there.
For sure, yeah. Like I think you're going to end up, and I guess we don't even know how much this product would potentially cost. I presume in my mind it would be like a $50 to $100 product.
I mean, the value's there, right? All it takes is you getting one extra to-do item done a month that actually helps drive extra revenue or something for your company, and now all of a sudden it pays for itself.
Yeah, I mean, or we could juxtapose it to, you go buy a firework or a to-do list or a bullet journal, and they're both $50, or you can get them both together. I have a to-do list journal literally right next to me, and I'm like, if this did something more sick, I would think I'd like it better, and I wouldn't skip days. Okay, cool. What would be like the value prop? We help X, avatar achieve Y, using Z or without Z. What would you do for this?
I think we help busy, or whether busy or not, we help business owners achieve.
Yeah, I mean, this is a question.
Done stuff.
I like the idea of non-busy business owners.
Yeah, true.
We help people with nothing to do. Finally
get
do
stuff
something.
done. Yeah. The ones that are out there just literally doing nothing, just hoping that,
literally they're in the Facebook groups. Yeah.
We help procrastinating business owners get stuff done without, it's almost like without getting, because there's that overwhelm factor that's still there, without task paralysis or without to-do list paralysis. So get their to-do list done without the to-do list paralysis.
Yes. Without I like that. Or, we help business owners get more stuff done without freezing up, without paralysis, without overthinking their tasks, right? Something like that. Okay. Yeah, cool. I like it. All right. Last, I think, couple questions on this part is, I guess, like, what would be a name for the product?
Shit. I could spend hours on this.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's last. But also, like, I think you and I would probably agree, and I think hearing it from somebody who's not me would be helpful, that the name low-key doesn't matter when it's a startup. But, like, what would be sort of the working name for something like this that you can think of to just put it out there? Just to
I feel like some names, I was just reading a book that's actually talking about naming of products and stuff, and I feel like there's a lot of names in our world, in the business owner world, that are just so over hypey. But I feel like this is almost an understated type of product name. It's just like, instead of like $1 million to-do list .io or something like that, it's just kind of like a procrastination killer.
Procrastination killer, exploding. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, even just the exploding to-do list to me makes me want to look and see what that is. But even if it doesn't actually explode, as a name, I think is funny. But again, I'm drawn to things that are just
I'm drawn. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
Maybe if we're the ideal customer, maybe that's maybe something that would go. Any taglines come to mind for you?
In terms of a quick tagline, like, it's almost just we help blank achieve blank without blank. Yeah, exactly. Like it's almost like especially early on, just make it as simple as possible. Don't try to be too clever with it. Don't try to be too creative with it, because then you got to try and re-explain what that tagline means, or people start to look at your name and your tagline and say, yeah, I get it. I get what they do.
Yeah. Yeah. Get it done or else.
Exactly.
Yeah. Something
Oh,
simple like
that's
that.
so good. Oh my God.
Write that down.
I love
That's free.
that.
That's free
I
for you,
love
Braden.
that.
That's
Get
free.
it done or else.
That one. Get it done or else. That's free. You're welcome. Yeah. No. Okay. Cool. Sick, man. All right. Well, I think
It said 3 to 5 minutes, but yeah, that's the.
I think we did it.
too.
I think we have a solid
think so,
product
too.
here. Again, it may not make it, but okay, cool.
Are you tired of not getting done? You constantly create a to-do list only for it to gather dust. And when you finally decide to work on it, you get overwhelmed just looking at it, leaving you stuck and unproductive. Introducing Exploding To-Do List, the to-do list that self-destructs after an hour. It forces you to stay accountable and pushes you to get more done, fast. Procrastination is not an option anymore. With Exploding Checklist, you'll boost your productivity and overcome task paralysis so you can feel accomplished every single day. Download Exploding To-Do List now. Take control of your tasks before they explode. Get it done or it's gone.
All right, let's move to our next segment of the show / whatever we're doing here, where we're going to ask you either business questions or just personal random questions. And I'm going to decide it on a coin toss because why not introduce some more chaos? This has been too structured, too methodical. We need something we need a little bit more randomness in what we're doing right now. Okay, so I'm going to legitimately flip a Google coin, and if it's heads, we're going to go real question. If it's tails, we're going to go goofy question. So, goofy question. What's the weirdest habit you have that actually helps you work?
One of the things, so I used to live in the van, right? And it was so easy to get in that work habit because there's this thing, what happens when you kind of like get your, whatever it's called, your subconscious like triggers itself into, okay, I'm in work mode now, right? When in the van, our bed, then we took the mattress off every day and then our bed folded in half and became our desk. It's like that whole process of taking the bed apart, folding up the sheets, folding up the blankets, getting them in the front seat of the van was like the trigger that our subconscious said, hey, now it's time to work. Well, then we bought a house and I've got my bed still put together over there and I've got another bed put together over there and I've got a couch downstairs. So it's so easy to just like get myself and, oh, hey, I was going to go lay down for a second. But luckily, my girlfriend hates shoes in bed. So by actually not taking my shoes off, by putting shoes on, even though I'm working from home and I'm just lounging around the house, but actually keeping my shoes on, it actually prevents me from going and lounging around, which is obviously helping me stay productive. So I don't know if it's a habit, but it's like almost like some kind of trigger in my brain that says, hey, I can't go lay down because my shoes are still on.
No, I mean, I think with I can relate to that. I think with remote work, I have to, like, for instance, like I get dressed, even though this doesn't look like dressed, this is dressed. this is dressed, like from what I would normally be wearing. I kind of wear the same stuff. I wear jeans, a black or dark gray t-shirt, and that's it, right? And I think that I have my 1 Celsius, my 1 coffee, and then I take my dogs out. And those are like basic normal things, but they kind of like shift me out of from like lounging and watching YouTube videos with my wife before we start the day to like, okay, now it's time to do stuff, I suppose. So I think anything ritualistic for me has been supported.
And separation of spaces too, for sure. Like you sleep in the bedroom, you don't work from the bed, you work in the office, and that, and I don't work from the couch and I don't sleep on the couch. I rest on the couch and enjoy myself. And your brain just like, hey, I'm in this environment. This is what I'm doing now.
For sure. That's one of the things I stopped doing a long time ago is because I used to work from couch, right? Because that's like
the cool thing to do. Yeah. Laptop lifestyle.
And the laptop lifestyle. And then what I find is like I'm watching a show or a movie with my wife and I have Slack open and I'm doing last minute work things. And then it kind of like feels like you're never stopping. And then the bedroom is like, for me, the bedroom is for 2 things and neither of those things.
That's true that.
So I never do. I don't even watch TV in the bedroom.
And for me right now, 80 kittens running around. Those are 3 things in the bedroom.
3 things. The bedroom is for 3 things. Got it. Okay, cool, man. Let's toss again. Let's move on. Let's press ahead because I'm going to stay on task. Okay, now we're on heads. Let's ask a businessy question. Let's see here. All right, so you run a company called Ottomatey, which we utilize for all of our clients. It's an amazing product. How have you established yourself to kind of like stand out from the competition, the sea of other LinkedIn automation tools that are available in the market and have maybe been in the space longer or like have a larger team or maybe even better funded than a startup company?
And there's some different features that I can get into, but really the biggest piece of what makes Ottomatey is that before Ottomatey existed was Hypersocial, right? And Hypersocial was an agency or a company that did cold outreach for companies, right? We used to use a lot of other tools that were out there, such as back in the day, it was called, I think it's called now or something. And none of them ever had everything that we needed. And I don't know if that's the right way to word it, but they're great tools. But when we built Ottomatey, it was because we saw ourselves as users all day, every day, needing a tool that did a lot of the things that Ottomatey does. So when we built this, we're not building it from a lot of products that are out there are very SaaS. They're a SaaS first company, right? They're building what they think is needed. We're the ones who we have a second company that has to survive on the how Ottomatey works, right? And that has to be able to continue to get results for our clients. So everything that we do on Ottomatey side comes from, yes, people who are using it themselves, not our agency, but also our agency who's saying, hey, we need to do this and we need to do that because we're doing, they're the ones clicking the buttons. They're the ones making sure the results are coming in, et cetera. So that's kind of the biggest differentiator. And then also that with that comes support that actually has data on a ton of campaigns behind it because the two are connected together.
Yeah. No, I think that you're correct in those things. I think, when we originally connected and you were like, hey, check out my LinkedIn tool. And I was just like my first initial thought was whatever, man. Like that was my like just to be candid. Like I was like, sure, I'm sure it's fine. Like, and so I was like, oh, it's cool. I'll look at it. And I think the things that stand out to me as a user of it, who recommends it to effectively all of my clients, is that it is made from like a business owner's perspective versus a developer's perspective. So like you said, a lot of those little things that you wished it had, it's like things developers can't even really think about because it's not the problems they're used to addressing, right? And so just having all these problems solved, stacked, was like, oh, okay, that's kind of a lot. And then some of the features and the fact that it is a newer-ish company, you're developing things that maybe companies that have been around for a while don't feel the need to or the urgency to. For instance, like a focus on AI or video or all of those things, right? And so I've found those to be super helpful, and that's why we're customers of it. Is the features are great, but even our team is like, this is the easiest to use. Like all the other ones are clunky.
I think that was the biggest focus too when we were first developing like the UI was like, how can we make this so much simpler? Like, how do we make this as where somebody who's not good, we're thinking about our ideal prospects, which sometimes it's people, who are tech savvy, like you and I, who use a lot of different tools that are out there. So I can pick up most tools out there and be able to get something going on it pretty quickly. But then a lot of our customers are older 50, 60-year-old business owners who still don't know how to convert a Word document to a PDF, right? Or the other way around. And that's, I'm not convinced I can actually do that, actually.
The other way around,
it's way harder.
It's hard. Right. Don't.
But I was like, how do I make it so that they can hopefully, without a ton of knowledge and without a ton of, past workingness and without being super tech savvy, they're the ones with the giant iPhone text screens, and they're the ones, talking to text. And I'm like, how do I help them be able to get results too?
Yeah, no. And I think that comes through, and you can tell. And man, I think it's a great, obviously I think it's a great product, but I wouldn't be using it. All right, let's flip one more. Let's do one more. And then we'll see here, flipping, tails. Okay, silly goofy, let's do it. If you could get rid of any chore from your life forever, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. The list is massive. But if I had to pick one, well, we got I was going to say vacuuming, but we actually got one of those fancy Kirby vacuums. I picked it up off of Facebook for super cheap. And I enjoy vacuuming with it because it's so satisfying. Yeah. I think it would be dishes or cooking. Emily does a lot of the cooking, but I know that she like hates cooking for me because I'm so picky. But if I could just have healthy meals that were there and like tasted good without like a ton of effort into that, like I'm the kind of guy, if it takes me longer than like 3 minutes to make, I don't want to make it. And then the dishes afterwards is like, I'm eating, I'm full, I want to sit and hang out, and now there's dishes to do, and they're just, yeah, it's so annoying. I think those are the two big ones.
The dishes suck. I love cooking, but that's like a fun thing for me. But my wife often will do dishes, so she loves the food. She hates. She's like, we've gotten some of these meal services and like end up door dashing just because we're like, it ends up costing about the same and it's way more convenient for our life. So it's like I don't even often want whatever's on DoorDash. I just don't want to have to do dishes after the fact, so I just order it. But I think for me, the chore I've hated the most is getting gas for my car. I don't know what it is about getting. I know it's such a like nobody else hates it as much as I do, but for me, it's like there's something about like I have to do this thing and I have to do it when the car tells me to do it, and I can't avoid it. Like I've run out of gas multiple times since I like on my way here. Yeah, no, on my way home. No, but I ran out of gas on one of my first dates with my wife, and it wasn't because I couldn't afford it or I like didn't have time. It was just that I literally hate doing it, and so I was walking through the snow to go refill a car with gas because and it's happened to me multiple times, unfortunately. So if I could never gas up my car again or charge a car or any form of it, just magically is fuel.
But charging's a bit easier though, right? You get home and you just kind of plug it in and then it's charging up. I mean, like generally, not for long road trips. I don't have an electric. Me neither, but like not for long road trips, but for, just a daily driver, just being able to come home and you just grab it and plug it in and then it's charging on its own.
That might be my solution because I don't mind plugging my phone in. So if it's that easy, I think that's fine. It's the going to a gas station. There always seems to be sketch people. It's always run down. You got to get outside.
But the pump that doesn't work, that has a little thing on it, you don't realize it until you pull up next to it. You're like, fuck, this pump's broken. And then it costs you way more than you want every single freaking time too. You're like, oh, hey, gas. No, it's not. It's not going down. Gas is not.
Right. Yes, exactly. And then like sometimes the car doesn't read. You got to go inside. The guy doesn't seem excited to be there. It's just, I don't know.
You buy the sugary, crappy drinks and food while you're there too. Because you're like, hey, why not? I mean, that's the awful part. Yeah. Generally, actually, it's good. It's the tasty part, but it's so bad. It's bad. Or if I didn't stop at gas stations, I wouldn't nearly. I think about just driving our van all the time. We were pretty good with the food that we ate while we were traveling, but when we would stop at a gas station, I would go in and I would get some Sour Patch Kids. So I think I get it actually.
Oh, that sounds great.
It does. But
van life. You did van life for a while, right?
Three years almost.
Yeah. Okay. And we should probably dig into that, but I want to be respectful with your time.
Got 30 minutes still.
Well, yeah, we got 3 minutes. Let's be as respectful as you.
I said 30.
So let's.
I saw we had for an hour. Do we only have a minute left?
Oh, we have for an hour. I was just trying to be respectful. No,
I'm good.
Do you have that extra 5-10 minutes? Okay, cool. I just want to make sure we're not. Okay, cool. Let's kind of roll out here. So here's kind of my final question for the day, I suppose, and it's probably a question you're super tired of answering. What was the thought process behind not only the viral crying meme photo that got memed all over the internet? What was your process going into it? But then, more importantly, what's your process? Like, what was the thought process?
Oh, I see.
And what was I know you clicked post.
There's a whole process. I have a whole SOP behind it and everything. No, okay, I get it.
You're like how to go viral and get people to shit on you and fight in their comments back and forth. No. Like, what was the thought process behind posting it? I have my feelings and thoughts, but I want to know. And then, what's your feeling about it now that it's been years and it's kind of gone, I presume, but maybe you have a different perspective of that. I'm not in your DMs. I don't know what feedback you get. But yeah, I'd love to kind of hear what was the original intention, because I'm sure it wasn't, woe is me, look at me, with like some people maybe have accused you of. And reflecting back, what would you have done anything different? Would you have kept it the same?
So thought process, if you remember that time in the world was so many companies doing these massive letting go of employees, right? And so there was this thing that kind of CEOs and like that one CEO that called let go of like 100. I forgot how many employees it was. I think it was the Zoom CEO. I don't remember. I don't want to say that if it wasn't him, but some CEO like called his employees like dolphins while all in the process of like letting them go, like making them feel just like absolute crap. And so there's kind of like this, yeah. It happened like maybe a month or two before, and there was all these letting goes going, and there was so much of like, well, it's all these greedy corporations with these crappy CEOs who are buying their second house, their second mansion and their third Lambo and all that stuff. That's the people who are, that's the people who are in charge of letting people go. And me, I had like 15 employees at the time. And I wanted to, one, for any small businesses who felt like they were having to let people go because of the economic times that they were in. I didn't want that. I wanted, because I'm connected with a ton of business owners on LinkedIn. I think I've got almost 30,000 connections. I think I have 26 because I cleared out a bunch, but most of them are business owners. So in case they were going through it, I wanted to say, hey, it's okay for it to be hard. You don't have to be a CEO that doesn't care about their employees, right? It's okay to do that. And then the other piece is I wanted people to be able to say, hey, look, there's actually founders and CEOs that do care, right? They're not just letting go of 200 employees and then getting their second mansion. Like, I don't have a mansion. I live in a single family attached, like I'm attached to their house. Nobody lives in that side of the thing, and we own our side, but I'm not buying a second mansion. I'm just trying to take care of my dogs and these freaking kittens that are around. And, there's a lot more normal founder CEOs than there are these kind of ones that are completely heartless. So that was kind of just the two thought process was like, hey, and then there was a visual representation of it. I was like, hey, I'm crying, and maybe I can use this terrible feeling that I'm in to help somebody else out, not feel like they're alone, not feel like they're, I'm the only small business owner who does care and this is hard for and things like that. And I think for a lot of people, it did serve that point and goal achieved, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because like trolling through those comments, you kind of see both sides a little bit. Like I see people defending you and I see people hating on
Yeah.
you. So it's not like a unit, like there's not just one consensus. It doesn't appear. Maybe it feels that way differently for you is what your reaction is.
The people who, there was definitely plenty of hate. Like, and I got threats in my email inbox and people going and finding like Emily's Instagram and just commenting on all of her posts about me and stuff like that. And it was there's some awful things there, but what nobody else could see was my LinkedIn messages with people and the amount of business owners that reached out to me and said, I just let somebody go, went through the same thing. I, appreciate this post, or I have to let somebody go. And I was really kind of regretting doing it. And I know it's going to be hard, but like kind of giving me the courage to still go through with it kind of a thing. And there was thousands of those. Like the amount of people that reached out in my inbox, I had to like spend so much time trying to reply to all those messages. I still don't think I replied to every single person who messaged me saying thanks and that kind of stuff. So that's what you couldn't see from trolling through the comments.
Right. To be candid, I've had to lay people off before or let go of freelancers or whatever. And I remember I let go of a long-term person who was working with me for years and years. And I remember like crying on that call, right? And they weren't crying, they were more mad, right? Of course, reasonably so. And looking back, I was like, oh yeah, I a little bit made that call about me and like how hard this is for me. And I know people have accused you of doing that. Was there any bit of it that you were like, this is like a catharsis for me? Or was it strictly like hey, this is going to be helpful for other business owners like AJ, who had to lay people off and felt like a total piece of shit, like I'm ruining somebody's life, right? Was it strictly in service, or was there a little bit of it that was for you?
From the bottom of my heart, and it was 2021 or something, right? So it was a few years ago now. I genuinely don't think I was trying to say, like, have any piece of woe is me, because I let go of one employee who I was in charge of. The second employee we let go, Emily had to let go of that employee. And I listened in on that, and just like the actual sadness in her is what, like, yes, I was very sad about letting the first employee go. I cried during that call, but then listening to how upset Emily was during her let go was like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. Like, this is so hard. I can't imagine what other people are going through. So I didn't just see myself say, hey, this is hard for me. I'm watching somebody who is my partner go through this same thing. And I was like, wow, this is freaking terrible. So that's where I was like, hey, maybe there's more people out there who could benefit from this.
Yeah. No, and I like, obviously I know you a little bit. And so I truly feel like you were probably putting that out there to support people and be like, hey, this is what it's like. Like, this isn't, it's not all cutesy. It's not all Lambos and vacations.
Yeah.
Right. But I think, I would understand the perspective. Like, I understood the perspective of people I've let go who are like, AJ, you're making it about you.
Yeah, I think I get it too. Definitely. I think the piece was, so we traveled in our vans. We met some people who had the same exact company that built out their van as us, and they were business owners too. And they were a couple, and it was great to kind of travel with them. But before we even travel with them, we got on a Zoom call, and they were like, hey, just wanted to, say, because I was I don't post as much anymore after that whole viral incident. I don't put everything out there nearly as much, but I used to post about my ADHD as a business owner quite a bit. And they actually came onto a Zoom call, and the wife said, hey, we just wanted to say thank you for the ADHD post you're putting out there. We realized that Derek, her husband, has ADHD, and that's why he's struggling with some of the things that we never really. And now it helps us actually solve that so much better, because we have the realization that, hey, because of Braden's content he's putting out there, making himself vulnerable. So I think there was a little bit of them right there in my mind too, when I was going through this. I was like, hey, this really could help somebody else, because somebody who I know and trust and like has said thanks for the Facebook post for putting myself out there more, which, I think played a big part too.
Cool. No, I think, first of all, thanks for sharing about that, because I'm sure it's not always fun. But I think it actually is helpful, because like my thought, I guess, if you were giving advice to a business owner now, right, who is going to let somebody go, what advice would you give them? I have some thoughts, but I kind of want to know what your insight is as somebody who is, a little bit got a lot of, or I guess, experience and feedback on your way of letting people go. What would you do differently? What would you recommend? Like, if I'm a business owner, I got to let somebody go right now. What should I not do?
I wouldn't post about it.
Step one, post about it.
Step one, before you even let them go. Actually, I wouldn't even just let them go at this point. I would just post about letting them go and let them figure it out on their own, right? Just like NFL players who realize they get traded from Twitter or X. Sorry, but
post about it. Block them.
Do not do a video call. Do not do it in person. Absolutely,
don't talk to them.
Passive aggressive as possible.
No, but like, what would you? Okay, I love that. But what would be the real advice to somebody who's like, oh shit, this election year and all this like downsizing, I have to let go of some people. What do you do with that? Like, it's rough as a small business owner to let people go. How do you? I mean, again, I'm happy to share what I would do, but like, I want to know what you would do as somebody who's.
I've not let go due to the same circumstances since then, but I've definitely fired a few employees since then. And I guess it did get a bit easier, but not in the way that's like, oh, well, all of a sudden I don't have a heart anymore, which is what I was trying to prove is that, but what you realize after is that oftentimes it's very mutual, right? If your employee needs to go, they're probably not happy with the work that they're doing, or they're not performing or maybe they're not in a role that they should be in. They could be doing so much more. Like Noah, he left. He was one of the ones that we let go, and he's happy to let me, bring up his name. He ended up getting a job somewhere else that was paying way more than we were able to pay, and he's still working there. And he texts us every once in a while, and we text him every once in a while, and he's super happy doing what he's doing. And if we had not made that decision, he would still, he might still be in the same spot. So there definitely is a lot of mutualness on it. And there's a lot of benefit that comes from it too. So if you were to do it, I would be as transparent as possible as you could with the employee, like letting them know the circumstances. Don't try and sugarcoat it. Don't try and do this. Don't try and do that. But be completely clear with them as to why, and then help them get that next step. Help them find another job. What references can you make? What work can you do during their last couple of weeks? A thing that I started doing is any employee that I now let go or fire, I give them the 2 weeks, and then I say, I don't want you working in that 2 weeks. I want you to spend that time applying to new jobs. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like almost a non-official like sentence, because
Exactly.
a lot of us have 1099 type workers and stuff. Yeah, I think I love all that. It's reaffirming for me. I think as somebody who is like, if I'm going to force you to answer a challenging question that you've probably answered too many times, when I've had to let people go, or terminate like short-term contracts, like I've had freelancers, I'm like, hey, I can't afford you right now. What I've typically done is I've tried to be candid the whole time I've engaged with them with the health of the business. But like the last time I had to do this, I literally just pulled up our like P&Ls and I'm like, here's where we're at. I'm paying myself less than you, right? I'm not like raking in all this money and letting you go so that I can rake in more. It is literally because at that time, I'm like, our client load dropped by 70%. Literally don't need the work and can't afford it to keep paying you for it. Like, I want to have you back. If I can, I will. And I have rehired people who I've in the past been like, hey, we need to chill for now. And it's not that I want to, and I'm sorry. Like, it's my fault. It's always my fault. But like, this is just the situation. And that's how it's going to go. And so I think just the transparency, it's hard to do because that's like a business owner. Sometimes like there's ego. I think if you're in our space, sales and lead gen, like you want to show how many cars or how many houses or how successful you are because it gets you more customers.
That's the one piece of it that I think may have heard. I don't really think it did that much, but right, like we help companies get leads, but we weren't struggling with a lack of leads. That wasn't why the situation happened, right? It wasn't a lead thing, but I think a lot of people will say, well, how can Braden be doing a good job of what he says that he does if he's had to let employees go? Right. So,
no. And and it's a valid question. And I think it's like, there's more to like sales is a huge part of business, especially when you're starting, right? Lead gen and sales, but there's more to it. Right. And sometimes we overcorrect when we're trying to resolve these challenges and overhire, or we don't hire the right positions. And those are things, unfortunately, we have to learn. And it could be, I know you've had other businesses, as have I, right? Like I've scaled different businesses, and sometimes this business, I'm like, oh, I didn't realize this, and that are positions I need that I've never needed in the past, right? And you have to kind of learn those lessons.
Definitely.
So. Cool, man. Okay, well, I think that's it. I think we did an interview here. I want to thank you, Braden, a lot for being on here and for donating your time. I hope you found it helpful and fun. Can you shout out any of your stuff to any of the people in my world who might potentially want to learn more about what you do, your softwares, your services, whatever it may be?
Yeah, I think number one is just find me on LinkedIn. If you search my name, I'll be the only one out there, thank goodness. Number two is just go to gohypersocial.com. Feel free to, which should have a link if you want to schedule a chat to learn about us. I think those will be the two best spots. Send me a connection request or give me a follow on LinkedIn and send me a message there, or just go to gohypersocial.com.
Cool. Thanks again, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks so much.